हाँ जी, स्क्रीन शेयर हो रही है डॉक्टर साहब आपकी, नो इश्यूज। स्क्रीन शेयर हो रही है।
हाँ जी, स्क्रीन आ गई फ्रंट पेज।
देखो जी, आ रही है।
अच्छा, आज मैंने अभी शुरू नहीं हुआ, ऑफ द रिकॉर्ड बताना चाह रहा हूँ, एक मैंने नया आइटम तैयार किया है बढ़िया सा, जो आउट ऑफ बॉक्स थिंकिंग को प्रमोट करता है सिविल इंजीनियरिंग में। दुनिया
अच्छा
में तरक्की हुई है जब सिविल, मैकेनिकल, इलेक्ट्रिकल और आर्किटेक्चर इंटरडिसिप्लिनरी
अच्छा
में काम कर रहे हैं। मैकेनिकल वाले अलहदा, और एक नाराजगियां और एक खामखा का बहुत हसद और कीना और कमजोरी होती है डिपार्टमेंट्स में। तो आज मैं एक रवायती बुत को तोड़ने की कोशिश करूंगा।
अच्छा अच्छा अच्छा, वेरी गुड, वेरी गुड।
ये मैं इसको वीडियो रिकॉर्ड भी कर रहा हूँ अपने दफ्तर में, रिकॉर्डिंग एडिट करके आपको दे देंगे। ये फर्स्ट एफर्ट है। अभी 2 मिनट हैं, जब आप सब लोग आ जाएं लाइन पे तो मुझे बताइएगा, हम थोड़ी सी बात।
मैं इंट्रोडक्शन दूंगा ना तो उसके
कमालुद्दीन टीपू भी थे लास्ट टाइम, आज
टीपू
हैं वो।
आज टीपू नजर नहीं आ रहा, उसको भी फोन करके बताते हैं। वैसे तो कमालुद्दीन टीपू को फोन करके रिमाइंड कराए।
आईजी लेवल के लोग प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस से करते पाए जाते हैं पाकिस्तान में, रिटायरमेंट से पहले। रिटायरमेंट के बाद पता नहीं क्या मुशाकिल है। भी आईजी पंजाब एक प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस कर रहा था, बड़ी धुआंधार मजेदार सी। ये मैंने नहीं गिलास तोड़ा वाली बात थी। नहीं जी, 1 मिनट रह गया, उसके बाद आप स्टार्ट कीजिएगा।
जी जी, इसमें ऐसे डॉक्टर साहब
ये
थोड़ा
स्लाइड्स मेरा गिफ्ट है, मैं सबको दे दूंगा। बड़ी मेहनत से तैयार की है मैंने, 15-20 साल की मेहनत है मेरी स्लाइड्स। ये भी मैं गिफ्ट कर दूंगा। और इस पे आइडली एक क्राइम लाहौर में, और उसमें मैं कुछ ऐसी चीजें बताऊंगा जो मेरे ख्याल में इग्नोर्ड हैं पाकिस्तान की एक्स इंडस्ट्री में। तो
अच्छा अच्छा
आयर साहब, आपकी खिदमत में गुजारिश है, रमजान के बाद तो थोड़ा सा ठंडा मौसम हो या इसी में कहीं एक हाई टेक इसकी ट्रेनिंग कराएं, क्योंकि ये मेरा दिल से करीब है ये जो आज की ट्रेनिंग। और मैंने खुद वॉलंटियर किया है, आपने नहीं कहा, ये आइडिया मैंने दिया था, लेकिन ये सिविल इंजीनियरिंग से बहुत रिलेटेड है।
अल्लाह आपको जज़ा देगा जी, आप अल्लाह बड़ा अच्छा काम कर रहे हैं।
इन लोगों को आने दें, 2-4 मिनट लोग ले लगाते हैं इन होने में, तो 2 से 3 मिनट दे दें। तो 2:03 या 4 मिनट पर स्टार्ट कीजिएगा, ताकि अभी 11 लोग आए हैं।
जी जी जी, मैं देख रहा हूँ। और हम वैसे थोड़ा सा ना 5-1 मिनट दे देते हैं लोगों को।
हाँ जी, 5 मिनट दे दें, वो देसी स्टाइल में लेट होने का चांस होता है। और सिस्टम में भी कभी कभी रुकावटें पड़ती हैं, ये जहाँ जहाँ लोग होते हैं ना।
अनाउंसमेंट करनी होती है तो फिर बार बार मुझे अनाउंसमेंट करनी पड़ती है, इसलिए मैं इंतजार करके थोड़ा सा, ताकि एक ही दफा अनाउंसमेंट करूँ।
असल में मैं जब अमेरिका से 1995 में आया, तो लाहौर की एक कंपनी ने मुझे एंगेज किया, जो कि फार्मेसी बनाती थी प्रोडक्टिविटी बढ़ाने के लिए। तो मैंने 95 में पहली दफा इसको तैयार किया और ट्रेनिंग दी, तो मुझे पता चला ये वो एरिया है जो इग्नोर्ड है, पाकिस्तान में है ही नहीं है। उसके बाद मैंने नस्ट के स्कूल ऑफ बिजनेस में और यूईटी में और केस में और यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ लाहौर में, और 5वां एक और इदारा था ईएमई कॉलेज में, इसको मैंने कोर्स में डाल दिया। और कई हजार मैंने ग्रेजुएट तैयार किया जिसका एक्सपोजर था प्रोडक्टिविटी पे।
जी
लेकिन
जी जी
सिविल इंजीनियरिंग, मैकेनिकल और इलेक्ट्रिकल थे ज्यादातर, सिविल इंजीनियरिंग में इसका एक्सपोजर ना होने के बराबर है। और आज मैं दरिया को कूजे में बंद करके सिर्फ आपके आतिश शौक को भड़काऊंगा, मैं आज बता कुछ भी नहीं सकता, टाइम इतना कम है। लेकिन जैसे मैंने कहा कि इसको आप वेल ऑर्गेनाइज्ड और एक बड़ा वेल थॉट आउट प्लान के तहत 2 से 3 महीने बाद इसको किसी अच्छी जगह 3 स्टार 4 स्टार लेवल पे इसका अरेंज करें, फुल डे 9 to 6। कुछ क्लास
इंशाल्लाह।
एक्टिविटी करेंगे, क्लास एक्टिविटीज में ज़हन खुलेगा। और मैंने कुछ स्टडीज ढूंढी हैं साउथ एशिया की, बड़ी मुश्किल से, उन स्टडीज की फाइंडिंग्स बड़ी अलार्मिंग है और हिला देने वाली है। और इतनी हिला देने वाली है, आप कहेंगे यार ये हम 2-4 साल पहले कराते तो आज हम बहुत कुछ कर चुके होते। पर हाल ये मेरी भी गलती है कि मैं लेट एंटर हुआ हूँ आप लोगों के साथ। लेकिन मैं माइंड को नॉक करके चला जाऊंगा आज, ये मेरी गुजारिश है। कयूम साहब भी तशरीफ ले आए हैं, वेलकम सर आपको भी। इंजीनियर शहबाज साहब भी हैं, सैम मैंगल भी हैं, बलूचिस्तान से हैं मैंगल साहब, आपको भी वेलकम। मैंगल साहब आप बलूचिस्तान से हैं? अच्छा, इनका माइक ऑफ है, पता नहीं मेरा भी कहीं माइक ना ऑफ हो और मैं मुंह ला रहा हूँ चार्ली चैपलिन की तरह। खामोश फिल्मों में जब होते थे ना, जब साउंड इजाद नहीं हुई थी, 1910 की फिल्म है, तो ये कहीं 1910 की फिल्म ना बन जाए। वैसे तो पाकिस्तान 1910 के स्टेज में वो जा रहा है आहिस्ता आहिस्ता, अल्लाह ना करे, लेकिन बिजली का बुरान आने वाला है गर्मियों के साथ। पेट्रोल नहीं होगा तो बिजली नहीं बनेगी, खाऊंगा नहीं तो पैसे कहाँ से आएंगे, पैसे नहीं होंगे तो खाऊंगा कहाँ से। वो जो
डॉक्टर साहब,
मरू
आपने तकरीबन ये सब 20 पार्टिसिपेंट्स हो गए हैं, आपने मुझे 5 से 6 मिनट देने इंट्रोडक्शन के लिए और सारे रूल्स बताने के लिए।
मेरा इंट्रोडक्शन 10 मिनट का कराइएगा, मैं कोई वारदात नहीं है कि वो 1950 में जिम कार्बेट की तरह शेर का शिकार बंगाल में किया था, वो कहानियां आपने नहीं सुनानी। ठीक है जी, गुजारिश छोटी सी, मैं एक इंजीनियर हूँ और कम्युनिटी सर्विस कर रहा हूँ, बस ये मेरा तारुफ,
एक
इससे ज्यादा कोई तारुफ नहीं।
एक तरीके
उस्ताद टीचर तो हो ही नहीं सकता, वैसे मैं तिफले मकतब आप कह रहे हो ज्यादा।
सर जी, एक तरीकेकार है, वो इंशाल्लाह हमने फॉलो करना है, तो आप इजाजत दें तो मैं इंशाल्लाह शुरू
तो
करूं।
तारीफों और तौसीफों के सायत और मसाइब वहां बांधे जाते हैं जहां पे किसी ने कोई मेडल लेने हो या इलेक्शन जीतना हो। हमने जो कुछ बांटना था बांट लिया, अब हम पे बैक करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं सोसाइटी को। और आज मैंने एक फाइनल वॉर ऑफ आइडिया, और फॉर वन गुड आइडिया यू नीड टू हैव अ लॉट ऑफ आइडियाज। आज मैं आपके माइंड को नॉक करूंगा, सिविल इंजीनियर्स को, मैकेनिकल इंजीनियर। मैंने यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ लाहौर में 6 साल साइकोलॉजी डिपार्टमेंट हेड किया क्लिनिकल का, और इतनी इंटरवेंशन करके उसका क्वालिटी इतनी उठाई कि लाहौर वो नंबर 1 हो गया क्लिनिकल साइकोलॉजी, मैकेनिकल इंजीनियर ने उठा दिया। तो ये सारा ड्रामा इनोवेशन का है। आप प्रोसेस में कितना काम करते हैं, इंटेलेक्चुअल क्यूरियोसिटी कैसे डेवलप करते हैं, लर्निंग प्रोसेस को कैसे मैच्योर करते हैं, ये सारे वो ड्रामे हैं। तो आज मैं एक नया ड्रामा दूंगा आपको, वो है एनहांसमेंट ऑफ प्रोडक्टिविटी इन कंस्ट्रक्शन। और मेरा एक बड़ा अजीबोगरीब सा दावा है, आप यकीन नहीं करेंगे कि आपकी कंस्ट्रक्शन कॉस्ट अगर इसको सही फॉलो करते हैं तो 40% तक गिर जाएगी। यानी 40% स्टील महंगा होता भी है तो आप अब्सॉर्ब कर लेंगे वेस्ट, रीवर्क और स्क्रैप से। ये अजीबोगरीब सा दावा है जो वक्त साबित करेगा। जज साहब,
अब मुझे आप सर थोड़ी इजाजत दें 6-7 मिनट की, ताकि मैं
आप शुरू कर दें।
आप
बिस्मिल्लाह
अपना
कर
स्क्रीन अनशेयर कर दें प्लीज,
अनशेयर कर दूं।
ताकि मैं लोगों को देख सकूं ना ठीक तरह, क्योंकि अब इस वक्त मैंने बोलना है थोड़ी देर, मेरे सामने ऑडियंस मेरे सामने हो।
हो गया जी, थैंक यू जी।
बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया जी, बहुत शुक्रिया। Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of Allah, the most gracious and the most merciful. Ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. Good morning, good afternoon from Pakistan Society of Civil Engineers. A very warm welcome to all of you for joining us in lecture number 52, which will be shortly presented to you from the platform of Pakistan Society of Civil Engineers. A very warm welcome to our audience on Facebook also, where this broadcast is going live. Now, before I introduce to you the topic and the speaker, a quick reminder of our rules. All registered participants for points have to appear live on webcam. However, the ladies, they have a choice. They can all microphones, you please mute your microphone. Please mute your microphone at this time. There's an interruption. I have to complete my introduction and then the speaker will start presenting. Thank you. Again, I will start the rules again. Registered participants for CPD points have to appear live on the webcam. Ladies have the choice. If they want, they can cover their face, but in any case, they have to appear live on their webcam. During the lecture, microphone of all the participants except that of the speaker, shall remain in mute position. Regarding question and answer, as you know from the last lecture, we have changed the policy. Nobody will have the privilege of asking the question live through their microphones. You people have to type your questions in the chat box, and I will read the questions for the speaker to answer. This is a change in the policy which took place from the last lecture. Now, about the topic. Today's topic is productivity through waste management, productivity through waste minimization. And I am honored to present to you Dr. Ali Sajid as our speaker today, as our guest speaker today. His brief introduction. He is a professor of management and leadership, a corporate trainer, community development volunteer with firm belief on achieving results through management of change and motivational aspects, which enabled him to achieve, design, and launch and successfully deliver outstanding results in educational management arena of Pakistan. He did his BS engineering from UT Lahore, then he proceeded to Washington University, George Washington University in USA, from where he completed his master's and PhD. He has taught in US universities for many years and also worked with World Bank in their headquarters. Dr. Sajid is a motivational speaker, official trainer in MNCs and public sector organizations like NASPAC, State Bank, USA. He had taught and trained thousands of managers in project management, leadership, soft and interpersonal skills, customer services, quality, HRM, SCM, etc., and has been giving consultancy on change management and quality enhancement. He had a unique honor to conceive and launch 3 most successful management business schools in Pakistan during the last 13 years. These schools are NUS School of Business, which was formerly NIMS, N-I-M-S. Then he formed MS and PhD, established Masters and PhD management programs at KS Islamabad. And the third one is Institute of Business and Management at UT Lahore. He also worked in Planning Commission of Pakistan as advisor to Government of Pakistan on quality and productivity. Since 1988, he had been into higher education and corporate training in various universities across the globe. He is also striving to address issue of poverty alleviation through skills value addition for marginalized people by offering applied technical training. In recognition of his services, he was awarded Tamgha Imtiaz by the Government of Pakistan in 2005. So this was a very brief introduction. Before I hand over the floor to Dr. Ali Sajid, one last announcement. Please, those who are registered for CPD, keep your webcams on and you have to appear live. This is a limitation which has been imposed by Pakistan Engineering Council. We cannot give any relaxation on it. Dr. Saab, the floor is yours. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much, sir. Yeah, first of all, I must acknowledge and appreciate the great contribution of Pakistan Civil Engineering Society, जो national level पे instrumental है since last couple of years. And their core, this is a non-profit professional body, and I believe their core job is to work on the practical aspect of spread of education, especially in the civil engineering education. Today's topic is very much relevant and pertinent to the construction industry, and I deliberately have chosen this after detailed work because this is ignored area in our civil engineering side. सिविल इंजीनियर समझते हैं कि सिविल इंजीनियरिंग सिर्फ कंक्रीट इक्वेशन को डिजाइन करना, स्ट्रेस एनालिसिस निकालना और दीवारों की पैमाइश और मेजरमेंट तक महदूद है. ये सिविल इंजीनियरिंग रॉकेट साइंस है और इसमें एक जो इग्नोर्ड टॉपिक पाकिस्तान के तनाजुर में है वो है प्रोडक्टिविटी, पैदावारियत जिसे कहते हैं. तो प्रोडक्शन और प्रोडक्टिविटी दोनों में फर्क है, इसकी मैं वजाहत करूंगा. और 1995 में जब मैं आया, I returned back from USA, so I found that in manufacturing side, industry have certain level of appetite for enhancing productivity. तो मुझे एक दो इंडस्ट्री के लोगों ने रिक्वेस्ट की और मैंने लाहौर में पहली कंसल्टेंसी प्रोडक्टिविटी पे ट्रेनिंग दी. और जब मैं नस्ट के स्कूल ऑफ बिजनेस और यूईटी और केएस के स्कूल ऑफ बिजनेस रेज कर रहा था तो इसकी अहमियत को उजागर करते हुए मैंने ये कोर्सेज एमएस और पीएचडी में लाजमी कर दिए. और 4 से 5,000 मैंने ग्रेजुएट डायरेक्टली इनडायरेक्टली ट्रेंड किया, यानी प्रोडक्टिविटी पे एक्सपोज किया। और रिसेंट पास्ट में यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ लाहौर में ये लास्ट ईयर मैंने कोर्स पढ़ाया।
Dr. Saab, we have audience who cannot understand Urdu on Facebook. Kindly.
Okay, I'm sorry. So I will talk in English. That is my mistake. So since last 27 years, I am partly, directly, indirectly involved in training and consultancy of productivity. One missing element which I found in Pakistani civil engineering side, that like other departments, they have also not given due attention which the word and the phenomenon of productivity deserve for. Productivity is a way of life. Productivity is a culture. Productivity is a thinking process. It is a paradigm shift from production to productivity. And as I explained earlier, there's a lot of room for improvement in minimizing waste, scrap, and rework in construction, which ultimately adds 40 to 50% in the cost of construction. And if you eliminate and make it close to zero, you are likely to reduce construction cost to 40 to 50%. This is not a claim, this is drama in real life. This is what West has done, and I will give you few case summary of one case study which I selected from Hill Research. So I'm formally starting my discussion today. Topic is enhancing productivity in construction through waste reduction. So first of all, in the first part, we will try to understand its meanings of productivity, production, and so forth, couple of various definitions. I always start my discussion with famous statement or quote of Confucius. He says, and I quote, "Don't curse the darkness, light a candle. Don't curse the darkness, light a candle." And I encourage you to start viewing the impossible as possible, and you will be surprised what great you can accomplish. When person does good deed, when he or she did not have to, God looks down and smiles and says, "For this moment alone, it was worth creating." Unfortunately, some construction companies more worry about broken machines than they do about broken workers. And this is the statement of Maulana Jalaluddin Rumi in Urdu. He says, "The pain you are feeling are the messages. Listen them carefully." This is the translation in Urdu to English. Without deviation from the norm, progress is not possible. Since last 1 century, our construction site, with the exception of few technical value addition, I mean incorporation of technical machinery and equipment, it is still working on this old paradigm, old ways, old techniques, and old methods. And there is hardly any true innovation carried out in construction site. So this is not a complaint. This is not a negative comment. This is the overall scenario of South Asian culture. Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, Nepal, Sri Lanka, they are facing the same problem. And I have carried out some research on that, and I will give it to you in few minutes. Don't change with the time, change before the time. So this is the right time that we should try to incorporate new change techniques in construction, incorporation of technology, and focus on innovation in processes. A person who graduated yesterday and stopped studying today is uneducated tomorrow. So change your thoughts, you change your word. As a civil engineer, I encourage you to start changing your thinking process, and you will see that you will be able to revisit your construction processes from the different angle, from the fresh angle. So what is productivity? Now the question arises, what is productivity? This is the one slide which gives you some. You see on the left-hand side, my left-hand side, we have input, land, people, capital, facilities, machinery, equipment, tools, energy, construction material, information, data, and various softwares like Primavera P6. These are the input in the typical project management or construction management projects.
Dr.
We transform, Gigi.
I think your slide is not moving because what we are seeing is not in coordination with what you are saying.
Okay, I will reload again. Give me 1 minute then. Aao ji, aajo. My staff is helping. अब आ रही है नजर?
जी, it's okay now. Thank you.
हाँ जी, तो मैं इसको बड़ा नहीं करता, वो फुल नहीं करता, पार्ट हाफ ही चलाता हूँ ऐसे ही. So in the left hand side, you see input, And through a process of transformation, we try to make some blocks, infrastructure, building road, highway, or bridges. That is the output. So we develop infrastructure using the input. And more efficient we are, the more productive we are. So in countries like Pakistan or developing nations, there is some confusion the word productivity, efficiency, effectiveness, efficacy, capability, and production. These are the six definitions which are used interchangeably even by the qualified engineers. So allow me to explain one by one in a few minutes. So our core issue today would be productivity improvement in construction sector. And as we know, productivity is a ratio between output to input with due regard to quality. And if we reduce the wastage of resources like man, material, machine, time, space, capital, money, and information and data collection, so we are more efficient, so we are more productive. So efficiency leads to productivity, effectiveness leads to productivity, and effectiveness in combination with efficiency will give you a lethal super combination that is called productivity. Production is quantity of physical thing being produced, that is production. Production, I repeat, is quantity of physical things being produced. And productivity is a ratio of output to input. That is product we are going to produce, or the infrastructure we are going to carry out in the way of construction, divided by the input given to that. And input is also design, planning, time, resources, information, data, seismic data, geotechnical data, and cement, and all those concrete, that is input. So when we talk about improve productivity, it means using same amount of material, machine, time, labor, and land and technology for producing output. So this is one another definition of productivity. Our construction industry is least competitive in the globe. I have some data from India, and I have reason to believe data in India is very close to data in Pakistan in the construction. In Pakistan, I could not find any reliable data or any reliable study, and I would request through the courtesy of this forum to start conducting some study on the construction productivity from today onwards, so as to get a fair idea of the pricing. I recall one of the statement of French marine specialist who came to Pakistan in 1990s to build a submarine in Karachi for Pakistan. French. They told that in Pakistan we will take 3 years to assemble one submarines, which we take 1 year in France. The reason he gave was that Pakistani labor is sluggish, slow, and least interested, and least efficient, and least effective. And they waste a lot of time. So your productivity is 1/3 of the productivity of Europe. That was his claim. So you can well imagine the overall productivity of South Asia. Due to the culture of slavery, the last 5,000 years, speed and spark and dynamism is missing in our labor, thereby giving them lower side of labor productivity. So we are least competitive because our labor productivity is very less. So competitiveness comes, and competitiveness is by definition is nothing but entity, capacity of some entity to outperform other entity. That is the definition of competitiveness. And in the global competitiveness index made by Davis World Economic Forum, Pakistan is around 110, 120, 130, 2 to 5 points ups and down, but below 100. And India is, I believe, 71 and so forth. So India is 30 to 40 points ahead of Pakistan in competitiveness, and productivity is main contributory factor towards competitiveness. So competitiveness comes from a couple of things. First of them is people, that is labor productivity. Capital, that is fixed asset plus working capital productivity. Energy, that is fuel you consume in your construction machinery, and electricity, and various kind of other energy resources like solar, etc. That is some sort of energy. Then material productivity, we will be explaining them in a minute in detail. So construction is a systematic activity to convert design and raw material into finished physical infrastructure with high value in the form of a project. Here, Janab, construction and construction quantity numbers may be increased by a couple of things. More engagement of employees, more input by installing more machinery without considering costs. तो आपकी productivity बढ़ सकती है अगर आप cost factor को निकालते हैं, ज़्यादा मशीनें लगाते हैं. So increase in construction does not always correspond to increase in efficiency. Efficiency आप machine लगा के बढ़ा. You can improve the efficiency by installing more machines, but productivity also entails the element of cost. So higher productivity means you can do that higher productivity by increasing efficiency of resources. So we derive third definition of efficiency. Efficiency is efficient utilization of input. With less number of labor, you produce more, that is efficiency. With less fuel, you work more, that is the efficiency of machine. So productivity, in productivity, we use one word for efficiency that pertains to the conservation of resource, that is input. Now, we have one big claim that productivity is not only ratio, productivity is a state of mind. It is attitude, it is your mindset. Productivity is a logical outcome of your keenness to deliver something in a speedy and effective manner. So I defined efficiency. The fourth definition now comes to the effectiveness. Effectiveness is achievement of end objective with maximum possible percentage. That is effectiveness. In Urdu, we called it Mosirpan. So effectiveness and efficiency, when you combine both, then it leads to productivity. So if I'm efficient, I do at a very good speed, but the final results are not coming, so I'm not effective. So efficiency in the absence of effectiveness is a useless phenomena. We conclude therefore. So attitude of mind says doing something's better than yesterday. It is a continuous improvement. So we have defined efficiency, effectiveness, and I can give you one example of my own life. I was called by one consultant in New York 15 years ago, and he asked me to come and give them 2 weeks for a project feasibility preparation in New York. I said, okay, I can come. He asked me to come within a couple of days. I had the passport and visa installed on that, stamped on that. When I saw the passport, visa was valid and passport has been expired. So on urgent basis, in 24 hours, by paying 20, maybe 100% extra money, I got a new passport. So I was efficient. I was efficient because I got a passport in 1 day. When I went to US Embassy for stamping visa, they said the spelling of my name is wrong. Ali, instead of Ali Sadi, that was typographical mistake. Ali Sajjad was printed. They asked me to bring new passport so that they can stamp it. I was efficient but not effective. When I went back, there were some vacations by government of Pakistan. There were some vacations by US government. So it took me 1 week to get the visa. And the project deadline was expired. So I was not effective. I could not reach the US in time. So efficiency in the absence of effectiveness is a useless phenomenon. We conclude therefore. So one thing is capability. Capability is my capacity to deliver. And when I have more capacity to deliver, I am more effective and I may be more efficient. Quality is third phenomenon in the productivity. In the absence of quality, if we deliver more, and if it is being rejected, it is not productive. It is least productive, rather. It is counterproductive. So productivity in the absence of quality is again a useless phenomenon. I again conclude. So what is quality? Quality is conformance to the technical specifications. Quality is conformance to the technical specification given by the customer. So it also entails the element of comfort and convenience. Quality has 2 dimensions. Convenience, comfort is the first dimension, and conformance to the technical specs is the second dimension. You are given an assignment to construct a building of EU in the European Commission in Islamabad, a new building, and they have given you the technical specs, the standards of American Society of Civil Engineers, ASCM, ASCE 11. So if you adhere to those standards, they will pass the building. So that is quality. So quality is adherence to the standards and technical specifications. Quality of working life is another phenomenon, which I will explain in a minute. Ye dekhiye ji. Quality of working life is temperature of the environment in which construction is being carried out, light, humidity of air, cleanliness, noise level, and sufficient safety level. All these things, and comfort and convenience and congenial environment, all this comes to the quality of working life and definition. And worker productivity enhanced to a substantial level if, and he adhere or she adheres to the quality to a substantial level if they find the quality of working life. This is very important thing, which is again missing in some of our construction agencies or construction companies in Pakistan. Innovation is the fifth element, which is a logical input, or which is a natural input for enhancement of productivity of construction. Element of innovation is rarely incorporated or tested or experimented in Pakistani construction, except few bigger companies, Habib Rafiq, and big companies in Islamabad, Lahore, and Karachi, where they use the innovative techniques to enhance operational productivity of construction. The element of innovation is missing across the board in construction. So the more incorporation of element of innovation give rise to one thing, that is speed, that is convenience, that is ease of doing business, and that is low operational or construction cost. So these four are the logical outcome of innovation. Try to carry out innovation or incorporate innovation in each process or sub-process of your construction system. So you need to have improved products, projects, services, and construction processes. And innovation increases the rate of construction processes to manifold. I repeat my statement. Innovation increases the rate of construction processes to manifold. Now, how to improve construction productivity? As we decided earlier, or agreed earlier, output to input ratio is called productivity. So you can improve construction productivity by 3 or 4 means: increasing output while input remains same, number of labor machinery same, but the speed of construction increases, so you improve the productivity. That is the first thing. The second thing could be you decrease the input while output remains same. Instead of 10 labors, you reduce to 8, and the number of finished rooms will remain same. So that is the second way of increasing construction productivity. The third is increasing input, resulting in very large increase in output. You 10 to 12, or instead of 3 rooms per week, you are making 5 rooms per week. So substantial increase in output as opposed to minimal increase in input. So disproportionate increase in output also enhances the construction productivity relative to increase in input activities. And the fourth is decrease input by a very large amount. So instead of 10 labors, you decrease it to 3, and the number of constructed rooms, which were initially 3 rooms per week, now come to only 2 rooms per week, not 1 room. So that is disproportionate decrease with large amount of number of labor decrease. So these are the 4 ways, generic ways you can improve the construction productivity. There are 2 aspects of productivity in the construction, that is soft or qualitative aspect. In the soft, we create an environment conducive to productivity. You try to incorporate element of motivation, encouragement, himmat, umeed, hope, and positive talk, and positive communication, and element of increasing morale should be incorporated there. That is the soft issue. That comes from your level of leadership. That is your caliber, and that is your what you call thought process and exposure and education, which creates the quality culture. That is the soft aspect. And the second is technical quantitative aspect. to measure productivity. So productivity measurement is again one thing missing in Pakistani construction scenario. And I would like to draw that Tahir Sultan Sahab, who is running a construction company, to consider to start measuring productivity in every process, starting from the cement and concrete to work form and bridges. Try to measure productivity of machine, labor, material, and we will try to explain in a few minutes. The soft aspect of productivity entails productivity culture, teamwork, interdepartmental communication, and level of the motivation, quality of working environment, delighting internal customer, that is your employee, work and business ethics, fairness in your public dealing, and integrity of the boss, caring for the workforce, looking after their extraordinary level of sensitivity and their self-respect and quality of working life. These are the soft aspects of productivity, and these are also not very much common in terms of practice in Pakistan construction companies. So my humble submission is to work on weekly or monthly basis on one topic, and within a couple of 6 or 7 months, you try to address you would be able to address the soft aspect of productivity. This is special request to Tahir Sultan Sahab to register my points. I have seen the construction companies in Washington, D.C. When I did, I stayed for 8 years and 1 year in Calgary and Toronto. And I have witnessed myself the quality culture, productivity culture, and construction culture of the construction company. We have one argument that our workforce is illiterate and dodger and cheater. Yet in certain companies in Pakistan, I know some companies who work take extraordinary steps to create productivity culture. So productivity is not ratio, it is a name of culture, which is a logical outcome of the thought process of big boss. So measures of productivity, partial productivity is a output of divided by labor, that is labor productivity. Output divided by machine productivity is called machine productivity. Output divided by capital, capital means money or investment, or you spend some cash, so that is capital. So these 4 ratios, partial measure of productivity, you can do, you can calculate on weekly, daily, or quarterly, or monthly, or fortnightly basis. Try to develop a habit of measuring partial productivity in your construction. At times in the beginning, it seems difficult, but when you get the habit, you will get the benefit. I give you my own example, nothing. I have developed diabetes. So doctor asked me to measure your morning and evening sugar level. I was hesitant and reluctant. For 10 years, I did not. But when I started measuring my sugar level, I tried to focus my exercise pattern and change my diet level and diet pattern. And fatty food and carbohydrate, gradually I deleted, and my diabetes come close to 0 just by measuring. So measuring is achieving, measuring is success, measuring is saving, measuring is avoidance of waste and scrap and rework. So the first submission to this honorable forum is to start measuring productivity, and I can volunteer for 1 or 2 days a month to any company to start measuring the productivity. And I am going to give you some formula for that. First of all, labor productivity can be higher, lower, depending on a couple of factors. Availability of workload. If you don't have work, they're sitting idle. So adding your cash flow negative, they are doing nothing but being paid. So workload ki kam hona, the reduction of workload also leads to low productivity. Then material handling capacity of the worker and the machinery also add labor productivity. Availability of power, that is gas, electricity, and internet is also power. And availability of software is also power. And worker efficiency, the speed of doing business is also leads to worker productivity and worker effectiveness. He is efficient, but not effective. He's doing the work, but at the end of the day, the work is garbage waste. So that is non-productive again. So worker efficiency is also need to be considered, and we have 3 factors: his effectiveness, his efficacy, his capability, and his willingness to work. And sixth factor is his motivation to work. So worker efficiency may use and his level of training, motivation, work conducive conditions of the work, comfortable or poor, temperature control, humidity control, noise control, all leads to worker efficiency. For the same reason, multinational have the special SOPs for worker convenience, safety, comfort, so as to add value through efficiency in the worker mind. So worker or labor productivity is enhanced by increasing efficiency of construction machinery and equipment. The extent and the level of technology you are using to facilitate and support the worker also leads to worker productivity. With the conventional kai or whatever you call it, trenching tools, you can trench, you can make a dig of 5 to 4 feet in 8 hours shift. With advanced machinery, which I see in the Kalmachong construction company. I live in Falcon, and I am the factory of Falcon. Since last 1 month, my house is closed and we are coming from different routes. But I see huge and big construction machinery, and their capability to dig is maybe 10 or 100 times more than the human being. So worker efficiency and the construction project efficiency always get momentum and impetus through machinery and equipment, and of course software use. Next is material productivity. In the South Asia, material is becoming more important because in the last 3 or 4 months, I recall in the paper I have read, the cost of steel rose to about 50 to 60%, maybe 100% in the last 1 quarter, thereby adding extra money to the construction cost. So material productivity has a major significant role in the overall productivity of construction. So we need to save, we need to find the ways and means to conserve material and avoid its wastage. So material saved is material generated, and money saved is money produced. So material conservation depends upon percentage of reduction, number one, creation of scrap, more waste, level of spoilage. In ordinary home construction, as a Pakistani ordinary citizen, I have observed the mason waste break 2 or 3 tiles and throw it out as a construction waste. In 50 to 60 tiles, he uses his manual thoda or whatever you call it, desi. He spoils 3 to 4 tiles or bricks, average of 50. So that is also waste. It costs 2 to 3 or 4% of the waste. Obsolescence and work waste, obsolete methods of construction and work waste, which I will explain at the end of the 2-hour session. That is the ILO findings, International Labour Organization, also carried out some work. So I don't have time, but I will show only one slide and give it to you as a part of that. And I carry out certain one-day exercises in Sialkot and Faisalabad, in surgical industry, in footwear industry, in auto industry, Papam, etc., where I give them exposure how to save time. There are 7 or 8 construction waste or manufacturing waste, which I will try to focus in few minutes. And if you understand the philosophy of those 7 or 8 waste, you are most likely, I'm sure you are 100% sure, you are able to save 30 to 40% of your unknown waste, which you ignore, which I ignore because of my low level of exposure of international practices. So I can give a very tall claim, which I should not. But as a professor, I should give a tall claim. My job is to give you encouragement, hosla, umid, and himmat. That when you revisit your construction processes from productivity standpoint, you are likely to decrease minimum 30% construction cost. This is not a tall claim. This is proven fact, and I will verify from one Indian case study, which is very close to Pakistan. And they give the comparative analysis of European versus Indian construction practices. And that is very eye-opener, especially again to Mr. Tahir Sultan. And he can make a couple of hundreds of millions extra because of these ideas. Remember, final war is war of idea. For one good idea, you need to have a lot of ideas. And I'm giving you real-time ideas, which are being practiced by Japan in manufacturing industries. And I have translated those best manufacturing practices after spending a couple of days to the best construction practices, first time in the history of Pakistan, to the best of my understanding. हो सकता है किसी ने और भी काम किया. So obsolescence of the work method is one thing, work wastage is second thing, that is increased by the absence of presence of skilled worker, adequate construction machinery, tools, and etc. So incorporation of good design, layout of processes and construction simplified processes as opposed to complicated processes and layout also plays a vital role in saving your time, resources, rework, scrap, and waste. Waste of time is also waste of money because time is money. Remember, time is money. I repeat, time is money. Then we have machinery productivity. In modern construction, we use 20 to 30%, in certain cases 60% in the developed countries use of machinery. In Pakistan, I believe, I may be wrong, 20 to 30% we use machinery in the low level or middle level projects. But this is my wild guess, it could be wrong. So machinery productivity, we need to able calculate, and I'm going to give you a few formula as well. Construction machine system converts raw material to physical finished projects, machinery and mechanical and physical processes using equipment and advanced machines. Machinery productivity depends on a couple of things. First of all, availability of raw material. Raw material hoga to machinery kaam karegi. And availability of power and skilled manpower. The big pay dozers of Japanese and American companies, its worker requires 6 to 8 months, certain cases 1 year training to be able to handle professionally, carefully, and avoiding the damages. I recall 3 years ago, a couple of Hajis, they were found dead because of misuse of construction machinery in Khana Kaaba. So absence of skilled labor in construction machinery is counterproductive to the machinery use as well. That is unskilled worker. And machinery location also plays a vital role, and distance from the site also plays a vital role. So in every sentence, in every bullet, you will find one tip for your construction improvement in productivity. These are the well thought out words. And I'm giving you all slides through the courtesy of our gentleman, Dr. Engineer Tahir Sultan Saab, who is taking a lot of pain just for the sake of promotion of this educational site, that is civil engineering profession को उठाने के लिए बड़ा बेलौस खिदमत कर रहे हैं. I pay tribute and salute to his commitment. Fourth is capital productivity. The investment you make on the construction, its productivity also needs to be taken into consideration. For any commercial production or construction setup, machine, tools, land, etc., it all has money and asset. They are the asset of the construction company, and capital is needed for such assets. As huge capital is locked in these assets, their effective utilization is absolute necessary. Capital productivity depends upon effective asset utilization. You rent a pay dozer at the cost of 1 lakh rupees per day over and before diesel or energy cost, and it is unutilized. The cost of investment is being underutilized. So assets utilization plays a major role, and you need to carry out in-depth analysis while calculating your capital productivity, and your CFO or your accountant or your MBAs in your department, MBA with finance, they can help you to calculate capital productivity, and you can develop some algorithm and make some entries, and you get automatically productivity of all four these things, like machine, capital, labor, and material. Now, next question arises: how to calculate partial productivity in construction business? Unless we are able to understand the calculation processes, we are not able to improve or modify, change, innovate, or amend. So for improvement, you need to be able to understand whether you are overweight or underweight. And measurement is an essential tool to help you. You are overbooked, underbooked, or least booked. So labor productivity, what are the units? Constructed units of output per labor hour. That is the first unit. Then constructed units of output per shift of 8 hours or maybe 9 hours. And then value added per labor hour. He tried to do something, but at the end of the day, the things were wrong and labor was not adding any value in the system. So third indicator, performance indicator of labor productivity is labor value added per labor hour, or maybe per labor shift of 8 hours per day. Second is machine productivity, that is construction machinery productivity, that is units of output per machine hour. And third is capital productivity, units of output per 1 lakh rupees of input. You spend 1 lakh rupees or maybe 1 million rupees in big project, and what is the output arising from that investment you made on daily basis. So if lakh is big amount, you may use a unit of 50,000, maybe 10,000, but that should remain consistent throughout for all calculations. Then the fourth is energy productivity, finished units of output per kilowatt hour and rupee value of output per kilowatt hour. Since rupee has lost its value to a great level, so you can make 50,000 rupees value of output per kilowatt hour. That may be more realistic in the present era of hyperinflation in Pakistan. I'm trying to modify these energy productivity units, keeping in view the emerging economic prices, because of which we are likely to face inflation the tune of 40% per annum, maybe cumulative 50% per annum. So energy productivity needs to be calculated, and for that, from that you can carry out and you can introduce certain steps like energy management, energy audit, energy conservation. And remember, through energy audit, you can save up till 30 to 40% of energy waste in your respective project. I am giving you very tall claims, but this is the real fact. This is Deming chains reaction. Dr. Deming is a professor of quality and productivity in Japan, and he is the person behind the gun. He was the person responsible for bringing about qualitative change in Japanese production and manufacturing and service sector. And of course, construction is part of that. So this is his famous chain reaction. He says when you improve quality, cost of construction decreases because of less rework, fewer delays, better use of construction resources. When you improve quality, less rejection decreases your cost. So construction productivity improves. The third stage. The fourth stage, come to the bottom line. You capture more business with better quality and lower construction cost. आपके पास ज़्यादा business आता है, and growth of business and expansion of business happens, and you create more jobs at the end. Better profit, speedy and cost-effective construction projects, and financially sound firm. In order to absorb the higher side of cement and construction material cost, that is steel, you can overcome the extra cost by reducing your waste, scrap, rework, and rejections. These are 5 things or 4 things. And I'm going to explain the famous eight construction waste, which are known across the board, across the globe. Before that, this is the second part I'm going to explain, that is performance indicator. Now, in order to calculate productivity, you need to devise and design and define certain level of performance indicators. These are the benchmark we use in the construction industry, and these are the parameters for benchmark, and they are based on key performance indicators. Key performance indicator provides you basis to measure the performance of various steps or human beings or machine or material. Many KPIs in construction industries are measure the job performance. Now, construction key performance indicators ये आपके सामने हैं. पहला है cost, then scheduled duration, 5 years, 2 months, 3 months. The quality standards is the third standard KPIs. The fourth KPI is the scope of work, what is included and what is included in the project. Then the procurement, delay in the procurement also give a negative dent to the productivity. And then construction, the main activity itself. In the construction, we have 4 or 5 more parameters which are visible on the right-hand side. First is labor productivity, and I will spend some time on the labor productivity. productivity, and I will give you some explanation of Indian labor productivity case study in comparison to the US and Japan and Saudi Arabia and Netherlands. So labor productivity is a first subset of construction key performance indicator, in which what is the rate of rework, material wastage, equipment, activities at planned rate or not. Concept of earned values also comes here. After construction, the sixth parameter of KPIs is planning, then engineering design, then operational health and safety, and the role and activity and performance and quality assurance at subcontractor level. I was told that some of the federal government big construction companies were awarded the contract, and they at times subcontract 90 to 80%, and they make money because of their big name. So this is not a healthy practice to subcontract 90% of your project and take the cream. Rather remain engaged in the productivity and quality efforts yourself. Now, one labor productivity was carried out in India, maybe a few years ago. Data of 39 sites was collected out of 12 building projects in Bombay, new name Bombay. मैं चूंकि पुराना हूं तो मुझे बॉम्बे जेन में आता है. Bombay, Bangalore, Chennai, old name is I believe Ahmedabad, but I don't know. It's a new name. Hyderabad and then Delhi. In 5 cities, they have collected data from 39 sites, and they tried to calculate the labor productivity. Now, labor productivity typically depends upon a couple of factors in South Asian culture, especially type of form work system used, quantity of work used, type of structure, shifting methods, labor skills, resource availability, safety, and other issues. These are the dependent variable of labor productivity. After defining these labor productivity, the study entails cost consists of 4 activities. First is concreting, that is form work. Second is form work. Third is masonry, जिसको उर्दू में राज मजदूरी कहते हैं. And fourth is reinforcement. Being a civil engineer, you are aware of all those categories. I will not take time to explain. The first part is concreting. So the concreting productivity in the various regions of India, you see all big 5 cities, and the unit is cubic meter per man day. So in Mumbai, they produce 2.97 cubic meter per man day. And in Delhi, it was 4 times less, 0.49. And mean in India, throughout India, found to be 1.22 cubic meter per man day. That was the finding of concrete productivity in India. And I'm very positive the Pakistani figure will be closer, maybe lesser, maybe to some extent higher side, few percentage of this mean 1.22 of concrete productivity. This is a finding of rare, what you call a unique case study. Then second is comparison of concrete productivity with international standards. In USA, the man hour per cubic meter required is 1 man hour per cubic meter. And India, it was 2.69 man hours are required to produce 1 cubic meter of one concrete. That is almost 2.5 times more. In China, it is 3.6 times more. In Netherlands, it is very close, 1.24. And in Korea, it is also close to Netherlands, 1.24. That is one comparison. And the second comparison on the second column is cubic meter per man day. In USA, in 8-hour shift, the US concrete productivity is 8.02 cubic meter per man day, compared to India, 2.97, close to 3 cubic meter per man day. So that shows the difference of almost 1.6 times less compared to USA. And I don't know the figure of Pakistan, Mr. Yes, the Society of Civil Engineers can carry out these kind of studies for benchmarking and for comparison. This is food for thought for all of us. So that is the first part, concrete productivity. Second part is formwork productivity in various regions of the India. And mean here we found 1.7 square meter per man day. Mean was 1.7 square meter per man day for the formwork productivity in India. and I am very hopeful, but not sure. Pakistan, it should be 1.5 to between 1.7 square meter per man day productivity of farm work. Then farm work productivity across the globe. This comparison gives you clear picture. Man hour required for making 1 square meter in USA, 0.8 man hour are required. Whereas in India, to produce same quantity, we need 4.71 man hour for 1 square meter. That is almost 6 times more. That shows the sluggishness of farm work productivity in South Asian culture. And I'm again pretty hopeful Pakistani man hour per square meter could be 4.1, 4.5, maybe 4.8 in that region, provided we work on that. But hardly any study was carried out. I'm not sure it is current. And the second part of this comparison is square meter per man day. एक दिन में how much square meter they produce in 1 8-hour shift. In India, it is 1.7 square meter they produce in construction site, and in USA it is more than 10 times, 9 times, 8 times. So farm productivity in USA is 7 to 8 times more compared to India, and maybe 8 to times more in Pakistan when we compare to USA. This is the reason they make blocks and buildings in weeks and we make in months. In Japan, it is 7.59, and in Turkey, it is low. India is slowest and lowest. China is again 2.65, although Chinese are very fast and efficient. And England is 6.553 square kilometer per day. So third part of the study was labor productivity for masonry, Raj Mazduri ke kaam ki productivity. The factor they tried to highlight is size of block, method of shifting, lead and shift, labor skill, type of structure, safety and other issues. These are the factors which they considered in their study. So in USA, they, in 1 man hour, they make 2.35 cubic meter of brick masonry work. And India, it is 6.35 man hour required for 1 cubic meter of steel. This is almost 2 or 3 times more than USA. So that also shows the sluggishness of South Asian culture, slow speed, desi style, देखी जाएगी, अल्लाह मालिक है, खैर होगी, जल्दी क्या है, आग तो नहीं लगती इस तरह के जहन में जो बैठे होते हैं बात. उसकी वजह से हमारा राजमजदूर भी, our worker in South Asian, they have the same psyche. From Bombay till Khyber, they have the same psyche. This is my assumption. It might be wrong. You can challenge it. Of India and Pakistan, you find more brick masonry productivity, but across the board, you will find average of 6 man hour per cubic meter. And cubic meter per day delivery, final output per day in USA was 3.4, and in India, it is 1.26. In Turkey, close to India. And Japan is again close to 3. Korea is again second in the number, and China is slower than India. So China brick work is slower, and they are trying to overcome through use of technology. Labor productivity for reinforcement, 4th part of your study, depends on factors: diameter of bar bending schedule, quantity of reinforcement, method of transport, availability of bar bending and cutting machines, skill of labor, type of structure, and safety. That is the labor productivity of reinforcement. 4th part of construction productivity survey in India, and finding was average 90.5 kilogram reinforcement per man day was carried out in India. Now see the international practices. International practices are not available here. And study was concluding construction productivity level in South Asia are low compared to international levels, 4 to 5 times per low in certain cases. And if you add the productivity level to 100%, 200%, the cost of construction also decreases substantially. So we need to study productivity levels in all types of projects. This is only pertains to building projects. It does not cover highway, bridges, and high-rise buildings, skyscrapers, and dams. So there's a dire need to carry out study of these kind of systems and processes. So when productivity and quality moves in your construction project, construction competitiveness can be enhanced. So Pakistani construction projects are facing multiple type of challenges, and one of the biggest after the inflation is low level of construction productivity that entails four categories I just mentioned in the Indian study, which is of course very close to Pakistani work or construction environment. Now I will mention famous 8 or 9 manufacturing or construction waste, which are very much common and relevant and prevalent in Pakistani or South Asian construction projects. Before I start the second part, the main part, allow me to define what is waste. Waste is anything other than the exact amount of equipment, material, parts, space, or worker effort. That is waste. This is a definition of waste. This is absolutely essential to add value to a product or project or construction activity. So anything which is not adding value to the construction activity and customer does not want or not willing to pay is non-value added activity. So I try to define the second term, that is non-value added activity. As a civil engineer, your core job is to try to identify, calculate, and measure and delete and eliminate non-value added activities from your construction activities or series or services or your processes. So non-value added activities are those anything that customer does not want and not willing to pay, and it is not substantially cheap, adding any productive value to the system or process. Now we come deadly waste. There are 8 types of deadly waste. First of them is over construction. I will spend some time to define them, to review them. That is over construction. Second is excessive inventory, not inventory, excessive inventory in the warehouse. That is the construction spare parts, construction machinery spare parts, raw material, etc. This is the inventory. Third is extra processing. You carry out more than required element. You carry out more work which is not required. लेकिन आप जिसे उर्दू में कहते हैं ना लेपा पोती और पॉलिशिंग में और उसको एक्स्ट्रा प्रोसेसिंग में चमकाने में चमक दमक और उसकी आजाइश क्या होता है जी ये बाइश और उसकी ब्यूटी को ब्यूटीफाई करने में you spend extra money, that is extra processing, that cost extra to the customer. Third is rework, that is defects. The prevalence of defects give rise to one thing, that is rework. That is the fifth or fourth waste. Then waiting time is the fifth waste. Sixth is transportation, and seventh is underutilization of HR and underutilization of HR and machinery. You borrow or you rent some machinery and that is not being used and you are paying its rent on daily basis, monthly basis, weekly basis. So underutilization of, and you hire some geotechnical engineers, paying them maybe 5 lakhs per day, per month, and the project has not yet awarded and you are paying them extra money. So underutilization of qualified technical engineer is also wastage of HR. We will try to explain one by one with some good examples so that you can correlate with your construction activities. First is over construction, working on project beyond design and premature construction more than it is needed. It is not required or aap kehte hain pehle khich do bhai. That is over construction. It is not the part of your contract. It is not the part of your final scope of the work, and you carry out for some reason by mistake or for some other reasons, for overbilling purposes, whatever. So over construction is first productivity loss or waste in the construction business. What are the consequences of over construction? First is loss of construction control. When you over construct, overproduce, you are likely to lose the control on the construction site. The second is fixing rejects poor quality a low priority. Since you have a lot of rejects, so fixing reject become low priority because it becomes now a norm. Third is increased mix-up, mistake, and confusion. When you add extra value which is not required by the contract, you are likely to cause more mistakes and more confusion and more chaos in the system. And the last consequences of over construction in the projects are, which is hampering or damaging the productivity, is valuable time and resources consumed and wasted in over construction. So the first thing which I try to highlight is try to avoid over construction beyond the call of the contractual obligation. That's the first thing. So this is a further explanation of over construction. Causes are working on the wrong priority work. Priority 2 or priority 3 started priority 1 instead of priority 1. That is one cause. Constructing more than the customer or next processes need. Next processes need till X, and you are adding X plus 10 or X plus 15, which is not required. That 15% extra is wastage. Third is creating reports no one reads. You keep on adding extra reports and generating volumes of work output in paper. Hardly anybody reads. This is a too symbolic representation of over construction. What are the negative effects and impact on the construction? First is on the left-hand side, you see on the slide, take up floor and disk space. Aapka jagah bhar jati hai khan. And then builds inventory not needed. And consume inventory which will be needed after 1 month. These are the 3 drawbacks. And the third drawbacks, the third negative impact of over construction which kills the productivity, hides other processes, problems, bad quality, bad delivery, etc. When you produce excessively over construction material, it also hides the poor quality and bad delivery of the undesirable stuff. So what is the remedy? Remedy is needed. This is the remedy to avoid the over construction. So waste of over construction also entails one fact, that it is very close to waste of inventory. When you over construct, cement and steel, excessive quantities being used, which is otherwise required for important priority technical contractual work, thereby hampering your availability of cash flow in your hand. So waste of inventory is also one logical effect or consequences of what you call over construction. Third is excessive inventory. You foresee that steel is likely to increase from 2 lakh per ton to 4 lakh per ton in 6 months. So you buy extra 100,000 tons in your warehouse and block your money in anticipation of getting one contract, and you are not being awarded contract, and you are without contract for a couple of months. Millions of rupees, hundreds of millions of rupees are stuck in the excessive inventory in the form of unused steel bars. So any supply material goods in excess of what is required to deliver projects is in a just-in-time manner is excessive. Excessive inventory की causes क्या है? Poor need for forecast. First thing is poor need forecast. Second is long lead time, setup and cycle time. Cycle time is time you set up the stuff and the time the final product came up. That is the cycle time. The third is poor inventory planning. Because of that, you are stuck or hold extraordinary large inventory which are likely to finish its shelf life. And then poor inventory tracking. That is also one cause. Unbalanced construction processes. And process of production requires quantity or quality of products in a consistent manner. So you are not able to properly map out your processes and generate its forecasting. That is one of the main reasons of excessive inventory in your construction warehouse. So this picture depicts one broad reasons of causes. Lots of inventory in store racks and floor. Useless email in the inbox, like excessive inventory. Affects difficulty in finding material. Need extra resources to manage. You need extra manpower to manage them. Extra shelter to keep them, and you are paying extra rent to keep them in the various kind of stores. Takes valuable space. You are paying the rent. Losses due to damage. In rainy season, cement become stone because of extra moisture in the air. So that is lost due to the damages in the cement site. And obsolescence. Material become obsolescence because of changing customer demands. You are using them chips and they want styles. So what is the solution? Solution is efficient use of inventory, not just in case inventory. Just in case you have at risk, you may or may not get that things at time in Pakistan. So use efficient use of inventory. Then next type of construction loss is waste of overprocessing. Overprocessing is very common phenomena in South Asian culture. Overdoing for the sake of pleasing customer when he or she does not want pankaj. So overprocessing is another kind of waste. Doing unnecessary work in construction of projects or products or material, using too much raw material and ending up unnecessary scrap. Wasting human or machine time with inefficient processes. Increasing construction machinery use where it is not needed. Maintenance without construction more item. So these are all kind of overprocessing. This is further explanation of overprocessing, losing either time or raw material because of overprocessing. When it fast or with less effort, overprocessing requires you to pay extra money, resources, material, machine, and HR to carry out that overprocessing, and that is sheer wastage of resources. So make processes easy to understand, simple, and efficient. That is the first answer to the problem. When processes are in place, employees ensure they are not wasting time or resources, should become internalized, making it easier. Overprocessing ke liye, I would suggest one formula or one rule. Try to make your process simpler, easier, lean, efficient, smart, and smooth. That is the solution of avoiding overprocessing. Quickly review the causes of overprocessing or extra processing or inappropriate processing. These are the three terms being used for avoiding the extraordinary losses in construction productivity. The causes are lack of confident design, processes poorly documented, there is no SOP, lack of customer input concerning requirement, you do not consult your user or customer while carrying out execution, what is his or her requirement, and poor configuration control, quality standards not related to the customer needs. You use low, instead of 10:1 ratio of cement to sand, you are using 20:1, for example. Maybe 5:10, maybe 5:1. That is overprocessing or inappropriate processing. Redundant inspection and approval. A lot of persons are required for approval, and counter approval, thereby wasting a lot of time. That is overprocessing. This is the depiction in the form of picture. Causes multiple ways of doing the same task. Rechecking non-standardization of the project or processes. And its outcome is opportunity for more defects, creates delay in delivering. These are the two logical outcomes of extra processing which causes delay. So what is the solution? Eliminate excess work. At the bottom it is written, eliminate excess work. Fourth important thing, which is the famous, we call construction waste, which hinders your productivity of construction, that is unnecessary motion. Take one example of wedding party in a big villa where food item is being made 500 or maybe 600 meters away from the main serving room where people want to consume the food. So that unnecessary motion of bringing the food from the kitchen to the people who are there to consume may be delayed because of unnecessary motion. So try to address the issue of unnecessary motion. And for what are the reasons? Reasons could be ineffective layouts, equipment, office and plant and site layout, lack of visual control, poor processes, poor documentation, poor construction place organization. Construction site is not properly laid out and things are moved in a haphazard way from crisscross fashion as opposed to series fashion. I can give you one good example of benefit of control of unnecessary motion in the Ford Motor Company in 1920s. Henry Ford was the inventor and owner of the Ford Motor Company, which was named on his company. Company was named on his own name. In the early part of the century, the various components which are being assembled are took to the other party, point A to point B, manually by hand. So parts were static and people were moving. A lot of unnecessary motions, time is wasted in the unnecessary motion. So what Henry Ford did is he made the people static and parts moving on the assembly line. He introduced the concept of assembly line. And can you believe what is the increase in productivity? 100%. Cost of production reduced to 100%. And the market price of Ford Motor Company car fell down from $210 per car to $240 per car. Substantial increase in productivity forced him to reduce the prices up to 80%. This is the way productivity gain was transferred from the producer to the user. The same analogy applies to the construction company. If we try to avoid these 6, 7, or 8 type of unnecessary wastage in the construction processes, we are likely to decrease the project cost up till 60, 50, minimum 30%. And that is your extra profit. And profit made gives you extra fiscal cushion to reduce the bid price. So with the increasing productivity, you can reduce the bid price from 30 to 50, 40% compared to your contemporaries or your competitors, and can win the business and can expand your company's name. So productivity is a main source of business expansion. We conclude therefore, I repeat my statement, the enhanced productivity in construction leads to expansion in your business activity to manifold, not 10, 20%. In a couple of years, your company could be the leading company because of efficient and effective and smooth processes and defined SOPs and avoidance of these 6 or 7 kind of waste, which I'm mentioning them here today. So this is the physical demonstration or pictorial view of unnecessary motion. Example I gave you from the Henry Ford. One example I can give you more from Pakistani Suzuki made in Pakistan and Murti made in India. Both are originally from Suzuki company, Japan. They have given the license in India with the name of Maruti and in Pakistan with Maruti, with Suzuki. The manufacturing cost of Suzuki made in Pakistan is almost twice as that of India because of more productivity in India. Their production cost is half of the Pakistani cost. And there was one study carried out in 1984-86 in Pakistan by Mechanical Engineering Department, UT Lahore. The cost of Suzuki made in Pakistan is more than Suzuki made in Japan, assembled in Japan, because of, although Japanese labor is 20 times more expensive than the labor in Pakistan, but their processes are so efficient, so smooth, and the losses are so minimal that they are cheaper than Suzuki made in Pakistan. It's the real life drama. It's the real life drama. So what are the causes of unnecessary motion? Unnecessary movement of people and machinery causes requires more work to produce final products, extra clicks or keystrokes, handling more paperwork. This is symbolic representation. Effects is add cost and wasted cycle time. Before unnecessary motion on the left-hand side, you see a lot of haphazard activities are being done in the construction. Left, right, crisscross, front, diagonal, up, down, top, up. And after it, when it's smoothened up, it become very straight and unnecessary motion was controlled and speed of doing business accelerated and made fast. So that was the fourth type of unnecessary waste we can avoid in construction activity and can reduce our rework, scrap, and time, all 3 or 4 things, and rework as well. Fifth type of waste is rework waste. You made something wrong and you break it and rework again, reconstruct it again. That is rework waste. Cost due to sorting, repairing, and repairing wrong construction includes cost of materials scrapped due to defects. Cement is wasted. Bricks are wasted. As steel bars may not be reused, that is the cost of rework. And this is again very common causes. Too many construction processes is the cause. High inventory level could be second cause. Inadequate tools, equipment, construction machinery, which results in more damage, more scrap, and more rework. And one of the big thing is, main thing of rework of waste is poor employee training, poor layout, unnecessary handling, and poor process documentation, lack of SOPs. People are not clear when, what, and where to do, what to do, when to do, and how to do. These are main reasons of rework waste. This is the pictorial depiction of rework effects. Causes unnecessary abrupt changes in design and the scene of the construction. That is the first thing. Incomplete or incorrect input is the second thing. Lack of clarity on requirements by the customer is the third thing. These are the 3 causes of rework. What are the effects? Create delay in delivery of the construction project. Consumer resources are wasted and used in rework. It adds to the cost. It discourages customer satisfaction. Delay hui ja raha because of unclear set of requirements by the customer. Then escalated impact of initial effects is passed on to the next level. If a damaged component is placed to the next level, that damaged component or damaged part or damaged brick may cause certain level of defects at the final product. So what is the solution? Reduce defects and save money, save time, and save resources, and save scrap and material. All those saves. So this I have already explained. Then the 6th part is waste transportation. Unnecessary motion is within the construction processes from point A to point B, and waste transportation could be from site A to site B. Cement or concrete is being mixed from point A and being brought by the truck to final destination where it is to be placed in the brick making or in the final stage of delivery. So what are the causes? A pictorial view is available, the waste transportation. Causes are taking files to another person. Again, is one sort of waste transportation. Movement of things, unnecessary movement of things. And effects is add to cycle time. Cycle time by definition is starting time to finish time, and the time in between is called cycle time. So at enhanced cycle time adds to cost and consumes valuable resources. This is the 6th type of waste of transportation in construction waste. These things may be in your notice, but in a collective comprehensive way, I'm trying to focus in a more consistent and persistent way. Second last waste is waste of waiting. Labor is sitting and construction work is not being carried out. So that waiting time is loss of productivity. Machine is not working and labor is waiting. Why machine is not working? Because there is no fuel, there is no electricity. There is no software engineer available to reprogram its internal software. So people are waiting. So waiting adds negatively to your productivity. Wait time waste occurs when a worker cannot proceed with next task in a process. So he or she is not getting the input from the previous site, so not able to process it, or he or she is sitting idle. So what are the causes? There are 4 or 5 causes. Lack of an adequate maintenance. Machines are not being properly maintained as per scheduled or as per routine or as per planned or as per design time. That is the first reason. Second reason is need of proper tools or material. Your spare parts are not available, raw material is not available, lengthy setup time. Concrete is being transported from 6 miles away to the construction site, and concrete truck is not coming on time, design time as per schedule. So there's lengthy setup times for the concrete making process. Then lack of cross training. People are not informed to the activities of the other sub department or sub processes. So they are not cross trained for their limitations, capacity and commitment and professionalism. So lack of cross training is another 4th reason for waiting time, which is killing your productive time. Next is lack of SOP or undocumented work methods. Absence of SOP give rise to one thing, that is confusion, chaos, uncertainty. So try to make SOPs and establish cycle time for each process. Assign time to each process, 6 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, so as to avoid the losses and waiting time. The 6th reason of waiting time, which kills your productivity, construction productivity, is production bottlenecks or construction bottlenecks. Machine फंस गई है, rod खुल गई है concrete वाली. So that is construction bottlenecks. And the last one is irregular distribution of training. You train certain people and you have not trained the other people. So that mismatch making also causes confusion. You have trained workforce and you have untrained workforce. And they try to quarrel and create fuss and battles and fights, thereby disturbing the construction process to a great extent. That is a waiting time philosophy. Customer who places order for construction, they are late because of waiting time. So what are the consequences of wait time waste? Personnel that cost doing nothing, adding no value, उनकी तनख्वाह पड़ गई आपको उस दिन की. So budget becomes overrun. Construction is not being undertaken, but your price goes up because of labor cost. And they are being paid for that time for which they are not adding any value, or construction work is not being carried out. So that personal loss is loss of productivity, loss of capital, loss of investment, and loss of money. So that is the first consequences of wait time waste. Delays that leads to overtime to conclude. And you are required to pay overtime 50% extra compared to fixed time. That also spoils your budget. That is the second reason. And third reason is caused due to inefficient process that exceeds the standard cost. And inefficient method or processes which are impeding the smooth flow of construction work are slowing down the construction processes, thereby adding more labor cost. That is the third waste. And fourth waste is loss of motivation. When they are sitting idle, they started becoming least motivated and their morale keep on going down. That is the 5 reasons or consequences, not reason, of the wait time waste in construction site. Next is utilization of the machines. In today's construction, 30 to 70% machinery is being used in the design to delivery, planning to final meeting the deadlines. And those 30 to 70% use of machinery, when it is underutilized, also causes negative impact on the overall productivity of the construction. So this is 7th, maybe 8th reason. This is the one diagram which shows total time spent, rechecking, waiting time, correcting time, reworking time, waiting time, searching time, and this is waste time up till 80% in construction or manufacturing in developing countries. And total value added time at times is not more than 20%. So try to avoid reworking, correcting, waiting, searching, and rechecking to a minimal as per SOP and define its fixed cycle time, standard cycle time, so as to make it comparison whether you are late or you're on time. So this is one depiction of machine utilization. Then is unutilized talent. High-tech professionals are sitting in the offices, doing nothing, looking busy, not adding any value and getting paid the tune of millions of rupees per month. That is underutilization of talent. That is also common in public sector in developing countries like Pakistan or India, that they are wasting their talent. A high-tech geotechnical engineer, or maybe engineer who is required to carry out a survey or review of findings of seismic data from the earth, or soil chemistry expert, is sitting idle because his part is not being started yet, thereby making him underutilized or unutilized. So that is one thing which should be avoided in construction because it kills productivity. This I just mentioned, underutilized talent. Then long coffee breaks. I am very concerned not to mention religion here. Yet on the social side, religious side, long breaks, coffee breaks, gossip breaks, socialization breaks, and performance of religious duties by any religion takes a lot of office time, typically 60 to 70 minutes in 9-hour shift. Try to minimize, try to standardize these long coffee breaks. These are the few breaks which are the few construction waste I just mentioned. Some of them are in your notice, but the core issue is how to identify, how to quantify, how to overcome, and how to reduce those waste. As we keep on working, it will take 6 months to 1 year to reduce these 8 construction losses. When you reduce those waste or losses to 5 to 3%, you are likely to produce 30 to 40% profit because of avoidance of those waste. And I just mentioned waste are 3 categories: white collar waste, which is the waste of engineers, procurement specialist, planning engineer, procurement engineer, design engineer. That is white collar waste. Their sluggishness, their slow response, dekhi jayegi approach, jaldi kya hai approach. These are the typical impediments of white collar waste, which is very common in South Asian culture. They are not meeting the deadlines, thereby delaying the project as a whole. I'm talking about construction projects. And second type of waste is blue collar waste, waste being carried out by the masons and manual work or HR. That is a blue collar waste, by the labor you can call it. The third type of waste is steel collar waste, that is machinery waste. Machines are sitting idle, number one, or machines are not workable or available when required. That is steel collar waste. And third is gray collar waste, which is not visible, which is not identifiable, and which is existing there. In any construction project, in any factory. Now I'm giving you very big claim, detailed claim, tall claim. In every construction project, in every manufacturing factory, there is one hidden factory, which is not visible. The same thing applies to construction. In every visible construction project, there is one invisible construction project, which is centrifugal forces, Marcus Grace Kubate, which is taking away it from the main core objective, which is impeding its routine functioning and operations. Those hidden factories are counterproductive. The main reasons of those hidden factories are 8 construction losses, which I just mentioned, and 3 or 4 cause of white, blue, and steel collar and gray collar waste. Try to categorize waste in these categories. Try to calculate and measure productivity on weekly basis. Try to see what is the extent and element of percentage waste of cement, steel, man hour of engineer versus labor, and give them some figure of man hour of each engineer and each labor, maybe 200 rupees, 300 rupees for each labor, skilled labor, and try to quantify losses and see how you gradually decrease them. Make them a graph on Excel. And after 6 months, I can assure you, only by measuring, you can save up to 10%, only from measuring. One friend of mine who was overweight, was not sure he was overweight. I asked him to consult WHO standards for overweight. So he consulted the WHO manual of weight under his age category and his height, and started reducing his intake of carbohydrate. And gradually he came to the same standard of WHO, World Health Organization, when he started daily measuring his own weight. So try to measure productivity in 6 through 7 heads as given in these diagrams, and try to quantify and justify or remove them or rectify. Justify, rectify, quantify. These 3 things, remember, in productivity. First of all, quantify, then justify. If not justified, then rectify. And you can reduce up till 30% losses in 6 months to 1 year. I can give you with very reasonable degree of confidence. With the help of this American Pakistan Society for Civil Engineers, I humbly request to carry out one case study to quantify from 1 or 2 industry in bridge, building, highway, or dams, whatever, and create some case study like Indian case study and compare from the international benchmark and see where we are lying, how we can improve. I can assure you, you can save construction waste in the tune of hundreds of millions of tons per year from these kind of, and hundreds of millions of man hours could be saved from the step you take from tomorrow onward to just to save, to quantify, justify, and rectify your labor and various kind of productivity. This is maybe last slide I'm going to show you today. Last 2 slides. These are made by International Labour Organization for manufacturing organization. But it is 99% common, maybe 95% common to construction as well, because philosophy is same. Try to understand philosophy in 5 to 7 minutes. And maybe next time I will take 2 to 3 hours to explain these 2 slides and give you some class activity whereby you can quantify, justify, or rectify those losses in the class, in the training. So stay away, stay close to my words and on the view file in front of you. This figure you see A, B, C, D. I will explain in a minute. The black portion shows basic work contents. Basic work contents are minimum irreducible time required to produce 1 square kilometer, 1 square feet of any form work or cubic meter of any what you call concrete. That is the minimum time required, which is irreducible minimum time. इससे नीचे जा नहीं सकता. Maybe for concrete 1 hour man hour. 1 man hour required for 1 square feet or 1 cubic feet of 1 concrete patch. This is the basic work content. इससे नीचे आप नहीं जा सकते. You cannot go beyond this. Now wastage are there. First wastage is A. Work content added by defects in design or specification of products. That is the over specs or under specs, because of which you are wasting. Over specs or under specs. Over standardized or under standardized. So these are the loss due to that. B is work content added by inefficient method of construction or manufacturing or operation. Your methods of construction are obsolete. 100 years ago, you are not using construction machinery. You are not using advanced equipment, softwares, new techniques. So that is the inefficient methods. So your construction productivity is being compromised because of that. That is B category. The C category is having inefficient time due to shortcoming of the management. This is you, and you. The big boss is not properly planning. He or she is not making some effective control mechanism or planning, or is not making any strategies to ensure the timely provision of raw material, labor, machine, software. So you are in inefficient time, and that time is compromising your construction productivity. The core issue is how to identify, rectify, and verify your construction productivity. So if you are clear about inefficient time, which is mainly due to the big boss delay in procurement, for example, which is big boss delay in dispersing the resources for procurement. Contractual में delay हो रहा है, contract में delay हो रहा है. That is C category. And the third D, the last category is D category. Inefficient time within the control of the worker. Yeah, that is like that category where labor productivity comes. He or she is sluggish, slow, latecomer, habitual, comes late, in 30 minutes break, he comes after 60 minutes, maybe 50 minutes. He uses religion to find extra excuses for long breaks. He needs long coffee breaks. He comes late 30 minutes every day. He leaves 30 minutes early. So that is the low level of motivation. That is category D. So these, if you try to identify all those A, B, C, and D, and if you work on that, and that working requires maybe 2 months each on every aspect of A and B and C and D, you are likely to make your construction process or project or system or series of processes more efficient, more effective, and more user-friendly and more productive. Remember, productivity is a function of effectiveness and efficiency. Productivity is a function of efficiency and effectiveness. Efficiency pertains to resource utilization, and effectiveness pertains to the achievement of end objectives. End objective क्या factory वक्त पे क्या तामीर हो गई है, the building is ready on time, and that is the last slide which deals with others. That is the last slide. This is the total time on the left hand side, total time of operations or construction on the left hand side, and it has been divided into total work content and total ineffective time. Ineffective time, C and D, which is the control of the management and control of the worker. ये आपके हाथ में है, और ये 15, 10% आपके हाथ में. 30% मैनेजमेंट और लेबर इफेक्टिव बना सकती है. और A, B है work content added in design, or B है work content added by inefficient or effective method. Method को improve कर लें, जिस तरह like Henry Ford did in 1910, 1920. He made the assembly process super efficient, and he gains 100% productivity and reduce the cost of core 100% below the market price, only because of productivity of the efficient method. So you can also follow the Henry Ford model, not Kissinger, Henry Ford model, and can reduce your construction cost to a substantial level. I can volunteer as a professor, ordinary exposed Pakistani, to any volunteer company to carry out experiment on construction productivity before 6 months and after 6 months, or before 6 months, 1 year, and after 1 year, while addressing A, B, C, D factors. C and D are within your hands, and A or B requires intellectual value addition, machine, methods, softwares, CNC machines, construction machine, paid dozers, heavy machines. A or B, C requires, A or B require that. So with that, I finish my agenda. This is further explanation to those which I don't have time. मैं अभी 15-20 मिनट सवाल का जवाब ले दूं. ये आखिरी स्लाइड में आपको लगे हाथों और दिखा देता काम आए. This is low productivity trap in Pakistan. ये last slide है मेरा वादा है. उसके बाद 10 मिनट Q&A session होंगे हमारे. Last 10 minutes are meant for. Remember, I'm not a civil engineer, so I cannot answer any question relating to technical civil engineering. However, in the context of productivity and new ideas and कंस्ट्रक्शन मैनेजमेंट की जो जेनेरिक हैं चीजें, उस पर मैं जवाब दूंगा. मैंने अमेरिका में कंस्ट्रक्शन मैनेजमेंट के 2 कोर्सेज पढ़े थे, कंस्ट्रक्शन मैनेजमेंट 1 और 2, और थोड़ा सा मुझे आइडिया हुआ था. उसमें ज्यादातर चीजें, मोस्ट ऑफ देम वर मैनेजमेंट रिलेटेड. उसमें थीटा, बीटा और सीमेंट और सरिया कम था, मैनेजमेंट प्रोसेसेस का ज्यादा जिक्र था. आज टुडे आई ट्राई टू हाईलाइट मोर फोकस्ड, आई फोकस मोर ऑन द मैनेजमेंट साइड of productivity. So on the left hand side, we are facing the conditionality of donors, that is IMF today. Nowadays, in every newspaper, we have new conditionalities of donors. Even ice cream पे भी 25% टैक्स लग गया कल से, आपको पता है ना. तो आइसक्रीम को ऐसे कुल्फी करें ताकि कहें ताकि सस्ता हो जाए, वरना आइसक्रीम जहाँ पे आएगी 25% एक्स्ट्रा टैक्स है. इसकी वजह से क्या होता है IMF की डोनेशन? What happens to Pakistan? Low productivity growth compared with input prices high. पेट्रोल, बिजली, गैस, हर चीज महंगी हो गई, लेबर भी महंगी हो गई, एनर्जी, तो आपकी इनपुट कॉस्ट इंक्रीजेस. So we are in the low productive trap in Pakistan in every aspect, not in manufacturing alone, but also in construction. Rising prices, domestic and export goods. So on weekly basis, we see the inflation 1 to 2% rise minimum in Pakistan today because of donors conditionality, that is IMF pressure. Rising per unit labor and energy cost, that leads to sluggish domestic international housing market. हाउसिंग मार्केट की डिमांड कम हो रही है, तो देखिए मिडिल ईस्ट में दुबई ने हाउसिंग से बिलियंस ऑफ डॉलर कमा रहा है, उसको कॉस्ट इफेक्टिव और कंपेटिटिव बना के. हम कराची में से फ्लैट बना के क्यों नहीं कर सकते? हमारी कॉस्ट ऑफ कंस्ट्रक्शन बहुत ज्यादा है दुबई के मुकाबले में, पर कैपिटा इनकम के तनाजुर में. देखिए हम कराची में क्यों नहीं डैम बना रहे, बड़े बड़े हाउसिंग प्रोजेक्ट दुबई की तरह, या किसी भी ग्वादर में, कहीं भी, लाहौर में. इवन अनइंटेंडेड इन्वेंट्री ऑफ हाउसिंग इन मार्केट. अब मार्केट में जब बहुत चीजें महंगी हो जाती हैं तो इन्वेंट्री इकट्ठी हो जाती है, फ्लैट बिकते नहीं है महंगा होने की वजह से. सो लो यूटिलाइजेशन ऑफ capacity utilization of civil engineering firms. They started laying off their engineers because of less demand. तो जॉबलेसनेस फैल जाती है और कैपिटल फॉर्मेशन नहीं होती, फॉरेन डायरेक्ट इन्वेस्टमेंट नहीं आती कंस्ट्रक्शन में, और महंगाई और गुर्बत और बेरोजगारी, अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट इंक्रीजेस. दिस इज द ट्रैप इन विच we are stuck in at the moment, in manufacturing, in the construction, in the cement, हर जगह पे is a low productive trap in Pakistan. I can talk hours and hours. This is my favorite area. Yet I try to conclude that construction industry need to revisit themselves from a fresh angle, from the productivity angle, from the efficiency angle, from the quality angle, and they try to see where the losses are occurring in the context of 8 famous global construction losses or construction waste, which I pointed out in the discussion. Try to find A, B, C, D, 4 category of losses as identified by International Labour Organization. Those 8 losses were identified by the Japanese under the leadership of Professor Dr. Deming, and these A, B, C, D categories were logical finding of research of International Labour Organization. So I suggest you and request you to focus on both models and try to incorporate them, try to understand them, and gradually implement them step by step in a phased manner, in an incremental manner. I'm in Lahore. I'm available to you as a layman to help you, to facilitate you in terms of some ideas. But I know one thing, that I do not know anything. This is a statement of Aristotle. So with this humble statement, I end my statement, my discussion today. Thank you very much. I'm open for the questions from the Honorable Horam.
Thank you, Doctor, very much for the insight you have provided to our viewers. Thankful to you for such a nice lecture which contained depth of knowledge. Thank you. First, before I start with the questions, I need to make one clarification. I have been asked by a few people from the audience privately why we have taken away or stopped the facility of asking questions through the microphone. Well, I will not mince my word. Let me be very frank. In lecture number 15, a gentleman from the audience uttered some remarks which were unwanted, which were not consistent with the policy of Pakistan Society of Civil Engineers. And those remarks were quite blunt, and it might have hurt the feelings or the, let's say, copyright of our guest speaker. So after that incident, the board of directors of Pakistan Society of Civil Engineers decided to stop this facility of asking questions through the microphone, because we don't have any control how to stop. If somebody is asking some nasty question to our guest speakers, then it becomes very difficult for us to control that gentleman. So we have, at the moment, the facility is not there, and till we find a method how to control the gentleman who's asking the question, in case it becomes nasty, how to control it. So till that technology, we get that technology, then inshallah, we will allow audience to ask questions live. Now, so I'm very sorry to tell you that I can't give this facility right in this lecture, because I have to follow the rules what board of directors have given to me. So Dr. Saab, Asif Sheikh Saab has, I don't know whether it's a question or I think it's a remark, so a remark only. He has written man day means one mason or one mason plus two laborers. I think it is one mason. What do you think?
One mason per 8 hours shift.
Per 8 hour shift. So the second question was also that when you are talking about man hours, it is 8 hours or 10 hours. So it is an 8 hour shift. So I hope the question asked by Mr. Abdul Qayyum is also answered. So I don't have any further questions, but Dr. You know, my job is very difficult here. I cannot focus fully on your lecture, but I think 60–70% I did here. I just want to make a comment that how about, particularly in Pakistan, environment of Pakistan, I thought one foremost reason for this low productivity is that we don't have the right people on the right job. Maybe it is for the upper cadre, but would you like to comment on it?
This is a very pertinent question. We do not have a professional pool of what you call qualified, hands-on experienced professional. In medical doctor, he or she required to stay third year and fourth year, maybe fifth year on the job training. In civil, mechanical, and electrical, we hardly have the facilities as in the line of medical doctor. As a member of Engineering Council, we tried level best to incorporate those hands-on training or maybe 6-month mandatory last year field experience, but we are not fully what you call successful in that experiment. Yet I believe we need to have certain level of incubators whereby we give them hands-on training. That is the first drawback in our system. Engineer understands the system in 5 to 10 years after wasting a lot of resources of his bosses and get experience, and then he or she shifts from that company to other company. That is another drawback. We do not have any licensing mechanism in Pakistan PEC does have some licensing mechanism, but that through on the theoretical part. On the practical side, it is like lawyers do not require any licensing. So we need to have a pure licensing mechanism for civil engineers to be qualified, to be considered as a qualified engineers. You should benchmark from the best international practices in terms of use of material, innovative design. I was staying in Virginia in 3-marla house, and we were 7 or 8 students living very comfortably. Design was so comfortable that we were एंटर होते नीचे एक बेसमेंट थी और बेसमेंट के साथ ग्राउंड फ्लोर एक फर्स्ट फ्लोर, तो 3 मरले में उन्होंने बेहतरीन डिजाइन किया था. तो वी नीड इनोवेशन इन एवरी एस्पेक्ट, and we do not have element of R&D and innovation in civil engineering side. I suggest your good offices to carry out 2 things. First of all, to carry out studies like Indian civil engineers are doing, the productivity element of construction, labor, machine, material, कंक्रीट एंड एवरी एस्पेक्ट. उसका एक स्टैंडर्ड तैयार कर लें आप. इस पे 1-2 साल लगेंगे. आपको फंडिंग भी कहीं से मिल जाएगी. इंजीनियरिंग काउंसिल से फंडिंग ले लें आप इसके लिए. इसके पैरामीटर की डिजाइनिंग की हद तक एज ए लेमैन में आपको कहीं हेल्प चाहिए होगी तो मैं दे दूंगा डिजाइन पैरामीटर में, KPIs के लिए. और इस तरह की स्टडी करके स्टैंडर्डाइज बेंचमार्क तैयार करें, नंबर 1. और नंबर 2, क्वालिफाइड पूल ऑफ प्रोफेशनल्स तैयार करने के लिए हैंड्स ऑन लड़के लड़कियों को ट्रेनिंग दिलवाएं, कोई फोरम बना के. वो एलिमेंट मिसिंग है, ताकि 10 साल लगते हैं या 8 साल लगते हैं एक इंजीनियर को डिलीवरी स्टेज पे पहुंचने के लिए. ये मेरी ऑब्जर्वेशन है, आउटसाइड लेवल ऑब्जर्वेशन, इट कुड बी रॉन्ग, लेकिन मैंने ग्लोबल प्रैक्टिसेस यही देखी. और लाइसेंस अगर आपके पास, आप सर्टिफिकेशन शुरू करें ना, 6-6 महीने की सर्टिफिकेशन, इसके ज़्यादा पैसा चाहिए, इसके रिसोर्सेज चाहिए. आपको मिल जाएंगे लोग. एक सर्टिफिकेशन करें 6 महीने के बाद, पोस्ट डिग्री सर्टिफिकेशन, जिसमें हैंड्स ऑन मिस्त्री पना सिखाएं इनको. ये मेरी 34वीं ऑब्जर्वेशन है. इससे प्रोडक्टिविटी पे बड़ा फर्क पड़ेगा. हर सजेशन प्रोडक्टिविटी ओरिएंटेड है. पहले स्टडी करवाएं सबसे पहले इंडिया की तरफ. एनी लास्ट ऑब्जर्वेशन जी? बहुत शुक्रिया. ये मेड इन एफर्ट थी, ये इसमें कोई खास मैंने काम नहीं किया. मैंने 3-4 रातें लगाई और 15-20 साल का मेरा तजर्बा है प्रोडक्टिविटी पढ़ाने का, 20 साल का, उसको मैंने अमेलगमेट किया और सिविल इंजीनियरिंग की थोड़ी सी मैंने दी. ये बिल्कुल पहली एफर्ट है. ये सिंगल रन लगाया है, इस पे छिक्के लग सकते हैं, इस पे चौके लग सकते हैं अभी आने वाले दिन. थैंक यू वेरी मच. एनी लास्ट कमेंट मेरी तरफ से? खुदा हाफिज ताहिर साहब, शुक्रिया के साथ.
I have one last comment. I have one last comment to make, and maybe you can also comment on it, and it could be for the benefit of our audience here. I was working in Saudi Arabia from 1998 to 2005, I think. And under me, there were 6 nationalities of belonging to the Southeast Asia: Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, Philippines, Sri Lanka, all these. My experience was that the productivity of Pakistani labor, I mean, you might be surprised, it was much better than the other nationalities. And not only Pakistani. Among the Indians, I had North Indians and the South Indians. And believe me, the productivity of North Indians and Pakistanis there in Saudi Arabia was almost similar, maybe marginally different.
Good.
So
good.
And one last thing, but as compared to let's say Filipinos
or Korean.
And Koreans also, we were less consistent, but definitely of North Indians and Pakistanis was better than them. If you want to comment on it, it's okay.
Yes, Thais and Filipinos are relatively less hardworking compared to South Asian and Chinese. इसमें कोई फर्क नहीं. हमारा genetically, हम international level पे, when we go to the international global scenario, we are more productive. But within the country, we are less productive. This is my observation. I stayed 9 years across the globe. मैं मुख्तलिफ शहरों में मुल्कों में रहा. So this is my observation.
Okay then, thank you, Doctor. We have one comment from Rizwan Mirza also. Let me read it for you, Doctor. It is,
जी, go
is
ahead.
lack of enforcement of intellectual property rights impediment?
Yes, to the great extent. Intellectual property right is hardly being implemented, though we have the laws and we have the proper IPO office, but enforcement is very weak. And I believe, although it does not affect directly on the labor productivity, but it affects the image and professional norms of the organization, especially if we are using the unlicensed, highly expensive software for seismic data analysis, for example, for geotechnical analysis, for soil analysis, and so forth, water analysis. Uske intellectual property right is very, violation is very common in South Asia. So I would not comment the law enforcement part, but it's the job of federal government to ensure that. Thank you, Ji.
Thank you, Doctor. We are almost run out of time now. So let me close. Let me say the closing remarks, and then we will close down. Again, I thank you very much for the lecture. Your shield and your certificates, inshallah, Sadia will send it to you by a special messenger, or she will courier it to you. And certificates for the audience who have registered for CPD, they can collect from 16th March. Our address is 14A1 Block P, Model Town Extension, Lahore. And the telephone number is for the person to contact is 0347 462 5111. I repeat, 0347 462 5111. And the contact person is Ahmad Akram. So you can collect your certificates 16 March onwards. The next lecture would be on 15th April 2023, and the topic is risk assessment of structures. 15th April 2023, the topic is risk assessment of structures. Our guest speaker would be Dr. Hassan Tariq. He would deliver the lecture. He is based in New York, USA. And I cannot, we are negotiating a convenient time with him, which suits his location and our location. So this time will be announced later. It won't be our normal time, that is 2 p.m. So that will be announced later. So thank you very much, Dr. Saab. Now we have concluded this program. Inshallah, I will see you on 16th March 2023. Thank you very much. Allah bless you all. Stay safe.